Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, if you can figure out who done it, then then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened. Okay then, let's talk about the murder weapon!
Chihiro's fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound.
According to the Monokuma file, the killer used a blunt instrument. But what kind of blunt instrument could it have been?
I bet it was an iron pipe.
No, that's wrong. Can we agree that the object that dealt the fatal blow was the dumbbell, found at the scene of the crime? It was covered in blood, and there was nothing else at the scene that could have caused that kind of injury.
And the wound on the victim's head is consistent with the shape of the dumbbell. As far as I'm concerned, there's no mistake and no room for doubt on this one.
You looked at her head wound?
Yay! That's so creepy!
If you don't mind, I will proceed from here. Let's move on to discussion of the culprit. Although, I believe the criminal behind this heinous act is already quite clear.
What? For real?
Chihiro's killer is the fiendish serial killer, Genocide Jack. Culprit is Genocide Jack. I'm sure of it. Case closed, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's impossible!
Why? What makes it impossible?
Well, I mean, come on! There's just no proof for it.
No, that's wrong! I might know one reason he could be involved.
What?
I found this file while I was looking around the archive in the library. I guess it's some kind of confidential file the police put together about the Genocide Jack case.
What? That's kind of weird as shit, isn't it? What was something like that doing in the library?
The why of it is probably more trouble than it's worth. So let's forget about that for now. More importantly, it outlines all the specifics of every Genocide Jack case in exceeding detail. According to the file, there appear to be two defining characteristics in every Genocide Jack case. The first is that a bloody message is found written at the scene of every murder.
Oh, that's right. Boob lust.
No. It's actually bloodlust.
But more important is the other characteristic, and it's something that has never been made public.
Never made public? What the hell is it?
Why don't you tell them, Makoto?
I got it! Apparently, in every Genocide Jack case, the killer suspends the body in a certain way. Other than the killer, the only people who know about this are the higher-ups in the police department.
However, Chihiro was most definitely suspended in the same way. So, how did the culprit know about this when only high-level police officials were aware of it? There's only one logical answer I can think of. It's because the culprit in this case is the real Genocide Jack.
No fucking way!
You're saying Genocide Jack is one of us?
Yes, in fact, it's Toko.
What?
Genocide Jack's true identity is Toko Fukawa.
You lie!
What? Hey, okay, wait, hold on a sec. Toko has, like, bloodophobia or whatever, remember? What kind of serial killer is afraid of blood?
Is Toko Genocide Jack? The answer is yes and no.
Another riddle? Man, why is this gotta be so complicated?
Understand? Is it because Genocide Jack has a split personality?
Huh?
I think I read that somewhere in the file too. They thought that the suspect might have, what did they call it? Dissociative identity disorder.
Oh, okay. But still, to go and say that about Miss Fukawa is...
perfectly acceptable. Toko's strange behavior after seeing the body is proof enough that she has a split personality.
I got it! You're talking about how she started acting totally different than usual, right?
That's right. Think back. She fainted when she saw Chihiro's corpse, and then, when she woke up...
acting funny, that's for sure. That melancholy tone of hers completely disappeared.
Don't go assigning adjectives to my tone without permission.
Not to mention, once she regained consciousness and saw Chihiro's body again, she was utterly calm. In other words, within her is one personality that can handle blood, and one that obviously can't.
So when Toko trapped herself in her room, it's because she was scared of Genocide Jack?
The reason she locked herself in her room wasn't to keep other people from getting in. It was to keep her other personality from getting out.
What?
Toko was afraid. Afraid of the murderous fiend inside of her. Of killing even more people.
How?
Yeah. How can you know all this?
I do believe you misunderstood her. What she's trying to say isn't, how can you know all this? No. What she wants to know is, how could you tell them?
Huh?
Last night, just before Monokuma gave his motive speech, Toko and I had a strange conversation. She told me a most interesting story. She said a murderous fiend lived within her, and she was afraid it could appear and attack at any time. And that trepidation is what's caused her to have such a bleak attitude. Isn't that right, Toko?
This is all a lie. Right, Toko?
You said you wouldn't tell anyone.
What?
You promised! I can't believe you lied!
You have only yourself to blame. You came to me with your tragic little story. I didn't ask you to. This is the real world, not some romantic fantasy fairy tale. Besides, you broke your promise first. You said that as long as you were here, no matter what, you wouldn't let Genocide Jack kill anyone. But in spite of that promise,
You said if I kept my promise, you would go out with me. That's the only reason I promised.
how many times do I have to tell you? I never said that, but you weren't able to do it. You just couldn't resist that rush you got from killing, could you?
I tried. I swear I tried to control it.
But your efforts were useless. What a disappointment.
I hate you.
Well, the opening act is nearly finished. All that's left is to hear from the person in question directly.
The person you don't mean.
Wow, hello there! Is it me you were hoping to see? What the heck? So you figured it out, huh? Well, whatever. What are you gonna do? I'm the ultimate murderous fiend, Genocide Jack! Or better yet, let's go with Genocide Jill!
What the fuck is this?
Toko, what happened to you?
Not Toko, that's a loser name, and what happened is a textbook split personality. So what if one of them happens to be a serial killer? You should turn a blind eye to one's faults.
So intense.
Like they say, sound in murderous mind, sound in murderous body.
This one is so different from the one we've come to know.
Yes, well, the world is composed of a front and a back, you know. Just like how every inning has a top and a bottom, or how in the depths of every truth lives a little lie. Behind every dark and gloomy soul lives another that shines as bright as the sun!
Miss Jack, Jill, can I ask you a question?
What's up?
Some of us think you might be the mastermind behind our entire situation. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you. I am the mastermind of all masterminds. Just kidding.
Of
course it's not true. How dare you try to link me to that creepazoid? And another thing, the police and government and society in the outside world are totally powerless. I mean, they just let this idiotic bloodthirsty maniac go buck wild all over town.
Sure, I'm a bloodthirsty maniac, but life is pain, right? To live is to hurt other people. It's a necessary evil if you want to survive. The act of living itself causes pain for everyone.
Just kidding again!
This should be enough to convince you. This murderous fiend is responsible for Chihiro's death. There's clearly a motive, so there should be no doubt.
A motive?
Remember what Monokuma told us?